Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you can probably tell by today's title, we are going to be going through my eyeshadow collection. I do have about 60 palettes in total to share with you, so I think I will be breaking this video up into two because they both are most likely going to be fairly long. So yeah, if you'd like to, probably go grab a snack or a drink and let's get straight into it. Alright, so I thought we'd start off with my Anastasia Beverly Hills collection. So right up the top here we have the Prism palette. So this was released last year, not too long after Subculture. And I'll just show you guys, as you can see, it is still in fairly new condition. I do really enjoy the shadows in this particular eyeshadow palette. I think the colours are quite lovely. I just don't reach for it as often as what I probably should. But yeah, overall I was quite happy with the quality of the shadows. Next up we have the infamous Subculture palette. Now I'm going to tell you guys straight up, personally, I really like this palette. I enjoy the colours, I think the colour scheme is absolutely beautiful, and as you can see, a majority of my shadows are good condition. I know a lot of people didn't really like this palette because of how powdery it was and a lot of people had trouble blending it out. But for me personally, I didn't really have any issues with it. The only thing I will say is that Cube, this shade right here, I don't know what goes on here, but I've got I think it's almost like, there's just nothing there. I don't know whether I've got hard pan on it or what is going on with it, but yeah, nothing. I just struggle a lot to get any kind of pigmentation from that particular shade, but the rest of them I don't have any issues with. Next up we have the Classic, and as you can see mine is quite well worn. This one here is the Modern Renaissance palette, and in my opinion I think that this is a palette that absolutely everybody should have in their collection. Whether you're starting out or whatever the case may be, I just feel like this is a really fantastic palette for anybody out there. As you can see, I've almost hit pan on Primavera, and yeah, I mean, I'm sort of slowly starting to work my way through the rest of the shadows, but I just absolutely love this palette as a whole. I think it's so beautiful, the colour scheme is gorgeous, and the shadows blend out really well. Next up we have the Soft Glam palette. Now I did only recently acquire this one, and I have to say I do really enjoy the shadows in this particular palette. I think that the colour scheme is really beautiful. It's a little bit more of on the cooler end of the spectrum as opposed to Modern Renaissance. But yeah, look, overall I get a lot of good use out of this particular palette. I think you can create a lot of different looks with it, and overall I'm very happy with the quality. Next up we have the Norvina palette. Now this one here I again have only recently picked up. I personally haven't really used this palette all too much. Unfortunately we did have a bit of a nail situation here. But yeah, look, I personally haven't really used this one too much at all, so I can't really comment on the quality of the palette because I just haven't got around to properly using it as of yet, but I do need to definitely go ahead and do that. But look, the reason why I picked it up is because I just absolutely love the colour scheme in this. I love purples, I love warm tone colours. I think overall this is just a really beautiful looking palette, and yeah, I'm looking forward to creating some new looks with it, that's for sure. Okay, moving on to my Jeffree Star Cosmetics collection. Now I have been collecting Jeffree Star eyeshadow palettes from the very beginning. So from when he very first launched Beauty Killer, I was one of the first people to pick it up. I have to say I really do enjoy his liquid lips, and I do have a few of his highlighters as well, and overall I really do enjoy the formula. I have to say the formula in this palette is just phenomenal. The colour scheme is a little bit different. It's not usually something that I would normally reach for, so it definitely does push me out of my comfort zone when I do use it. However, I'm always happy with whatever look I end up creating from these palettes, because overall I think the quality is just really good. The mattes are lovely, the shimmers are really nice, and everything just blends really well. So yeah, plus you get a hell of a lot of product. I mean, the pan size is massive. The next one was his second eyeshadow palette that he released, which was Androgyny. Now I'm just going to show you guys. Unfortunately I travelled with this recently and it got crushed, and as a result my Swallow shade, as you can see it's crumbling now, my Swallow shade broke, and I have recently repressed it. However, as you can see, I'm going to have to do it again because unfortunately I dropped it again. So yes, not the best. But the rest of the shades, as you can see, are in really good condition, and I do get a fair amount of use out of this one as opposed to the Beauty Killer. I just find the colour scheme in here is something I do like to reach for a little bit more. And again, the quality is fantastic. You know, the charm, this one here, is just absolutely glorious through your crease. Safe Word's really nice as well. Androgyny is fantastic for giving any kind of look a little bit more of, you know, depth, if you will. But yeah, overall, I have to say I really, really do enjoy this palette. I think the quality of the shadows are really, really, really good. So yeah, that's why I basically continue to buy Jeffree Star eyeshadow palettes. Next up we have Thirsty. So this was his summer release. So this has only recently just come out. Now, he did recently change the formula with this particular palette. So the mattes in here have a slightly different formula along with the shimmers as opposed to his other palettes. But again, for me personally, I haven't had any issues with them. I do actually have a tutorial up using this particular palette, so I will throw that up in the cards for you if anybody's interested in seeing me use this one. But again, yeah, I'm really, really happy with the quality. I just think it's fantastic. I love the color scheme. I think it's really fun and summery and vibrant. And again, the shimmers are really, really nice to use. They are a little bit different to the other kinds of shadows that I have, but overall, and I'll just show you, I'll show you what I mean. I just find that they're just, I don't know, I really just enjoy it. It's like you've got the base color and then you've got this beautiful glitter that just glosses over the top, you know? I just really, really like it. Obviously, I'd recommend a glitter glue, of course. I'll just show you what I mean. So you can see how I've got like pretty much pure glitter stuck to my fingernail. It's definitely a different formula to any of his that I've used before, but I just like the quality of it and how it sits on the eyes. I think it's really nice. So yeah. And finally we have Blood Sugar. So I mean, like, the packaging alone, I could not pass it up. I absolutely love this palette, and let me just show you why. Da, 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 da. You have your classic warm tone palette with some purples in here. Just, this is my kind of palette. I absolutely love the color scheme in this. I think it's fantastic. I love the theme of it. I think it's very well thought out. The shadows are fantastic. The formula in them is really, really good. They blend beautifully on the eye. And yeah, look, as I said before, that's why I'll continue to buy Jeffree Star eyeshadows, because I just don't think that you can beat the formula, and I do think that they are really, you know, you get a good amount of product for the money that you spend. Next up we have NATASHA DENONA. This was the very, very first NATASHA DENONA palette that I ever purchased. It cost me well over 200 Australian dollars. It is very expensive, don't get me wrong, but this is why. You know, I absolutely love the color scheme in this particular palette. You've got some beautiful duochromes. The shimmers in here are amazing. The glitters in here are fantastic. The mattes blend like a dream, which is what you want. Everything about this eyeshadow palette is phenomenal, and in my opinion, well worth every single cent. I love this palette. It is one of my absolute faves. The next NATASHA DENONA palette I picked up was the Sunset palette. Now, I just want to quickly say, I got this palette when it very, very first came out. I know it has been re-released, and supposedly it's been re-released with a different formula, so I can't really talk to that. All I can say is that the formula in this particular palette is fantastic. The shimmers in here and the glitters in here are fantastic. The mattes in here blend beautifully. The only thing that I will say is that, as you can see on some of the mattes, it's got this weird, like, bumpy sort of texture. And I'll just show you. It doesn't seem to affect, like, it still blends really well on my eyes, and it swatches fine. So I really don't know what it was. At first I thought, oh my god, I'm going to get hard pan, but it doesn't seem to be that. So if anybody else has this issue, or you might know what it is, please comment down below and let me know, because I'm very, very curious. I just don't know what it is. But yeah, aside from that, absolutely love this palette. I love the color scheme, and yeah, the shadows blend really, really well. Next up we have the Leela palette. Now this one here is a purple eyeshadow palette, and it is just so beautiful. You know, once again, the quality of the shadows are just like the last two palettes that we discussed. The quality is just fantastic. Yes, I understand that NATASHA Denona does reach a fairly hefty price tag, but I have to say, in my opinion, I do think they are completely worth it. You know, I think at the end of the day, you as an individual have to decide what is and isn't worth your money and how much you want to spend on what. But for me personally, yeah, I was so happy to have this a part of my collection because I don't really have anything else quite like this palette in my collection at all. And you know, I just find the shades to be absolutely gorgeous. Okay, oops. Now we've got the little individual ones that I'll talk to before I get into the Tropic palette. So this one here I actually picked up from Beautylish. So I got this from a lucky bag over Christmas time. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what's happened here. I think maybe a nail has found its way in there accidentally. But overall, the quality of these shadows are fantastic. So this is palette number 5, and it's extremely similar to the other palettes in the way of the formula. I just think it's really fantastic. These two here were the 2017 Christmas edition, Christmas releases. I picked both of them up because, again, I'm just obsessed with the colours. You know, you've got that beautiful blue colour, you've got those beautiful, beautiful warm berry colours. Everything about these palettes I am just absolutely in love with. I think they are gorgeous and I think they work really, really nicely on the eye. They blend out really well. I have no issues with these whatsoever. Now we have the Tropic palette. I don't know what happened. Let's just open it up, shall we? Okay, so this was a limited edition release. I was so excited to pick this one up because I was once again very, very happy about the color scheme. I thought it was beautiful. It was something different to what I already have in my collection. I don't really have anything that's quite like this in my collection at all. So yeah, looking at it online, overall I was really pleased with the aesthetics of it, and I really wanted to pick it up. The mattes in here are beautiful. The mattes in here blend really, really well. The metallics and the shimmers, I don't know what happened. I really, really do not know what happened, but they are nothing like her original formula in all of these other palettes. It pains me so much because, as I said, NATASHA Denona is not a cheap brand. It is quite expensive, and so when you're paying that kind of money, you expect good quality. I think if you pay any money, realistically, you want the product to perform well. So I'm just going to give you an example. Let's look at Tiger Lily here. So this should be like a metallic-y shade, right? So I'm just going to really, as you can see, I'm really going to go in there, make sure I get a lot on my finger, and there it is. And then that's the swatch. Now, my question is simply, where is the metallic? Where did it all go? It looks like I've just swatched a matte, like a matte sort of shade. I just don't understand. So from there, I'm just going to grab a brush and show you. So this is a MAC 233 brush. So I'm just going to jump into it as you normally would. Yeah, let's do it here. Like, that's it. I'm not even kidding. It's just, I can wet, and it doesn't matter if I wet the brush, it doesn't matter what I do, and I'm pushing hard to get that to come out now. So yeah, look, this particular palette for me was a complete and utter flop. I was really, really disappointed with the quality of it overall. Look, as I said, the mattes in here are beautiful and I cannot fault the mattes, but the problem is that the entire palette is not a matte palette. Obviously it's got some shimmers in there and they don't work, and it really, really does disappoint me because it wasn't cheap, as I said, and I just expect so much more from NATASHA Denona as a brand than what I've received in this palette. So yeah, I will hold on to it because, as I said, I do enjoy the mattes in this particular palette, but overall I have to say this is probably the most disappointing purchase of hers that I've made to date. Next up we have Marc Jacobs. This one here was part of the Coconut collection. I picked this one up recently because I just absolutely love the eyeshadows, the colour of the eyeshadows in this palette. I think they are absolutely beautiful. They blend really nicely on the eyes, and overall I'm very happy with the quality of this particular palette. Okay, so next up we have the 2015 release palette. So these were limited edition. As you can see, they are massive. I really did enjoy the quality of these shadows. I will say as the years went on, it seemed that the quality got better and better and better. But having said that, I didn't find I had any issues using this one at all. I think the colour scheme was really, really quite unique. And yeah, I do still get quite a lot of enjoyment out of this one. Next up we have the gold palette. So this one here, again, very similar design as the first. And this was the 2016 release. So this one here is absolutely beautiful. Again, I was very drawn to the shades, the color scheme of this particular palette, and I really do enjoy the Marc Jacobs formula. So yeah, I was very happy to make this a part of my collection. Next up we have the 2017 release. I wasn't that in love with the animal print that came out on this particular collection. I didn't quite understand what animal print had to do with Christmas, but anyway, again, you know, I picked it up because of the colour scheme. I think the colour scheme is really, really fantastic. That absolutely gorgeous bluey purpley colour just here. You've got a lovely duochrome over here. Look, overall, I really do enjoy this palette. And the one thing I will say is because of the size of the mirrors, as you guys would have seen, like they are massive. So these particular palettes I have found to be really fantastic to travel with. So yeah, that's mainly what I use them for now. I do really enjoy traveling with them, and overall I'm very happy with the quality. I don't know whether we're going to get another one. I don't think they're going to have a 2018 release this year, unfortunately, which does make me a little bit sad. But yeah, either way, I'm very happy to have those ones a part of my collection. Okay, up next we have Urban Decay. So this one here is the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette. Now this is such a cool palette because they are all glitter. They are all glitter pressed pigments, and I just absolutely love them. I think they are phenomenal. I don't own anything like this in my collection at all. And just to sort of give you an idea, let's just swatch a few, shall we? Oh, and not actually lose it like I'm about to. There we go. So I'll just swatch, let's go Magnetic, Element, and say Light Year. Ready? Watch this. I just think they are so cool and so unique. So I definitely won't be getting rid of this from my collection anytime soon. I just, you know, there's nothing else in my opinion out there on the market that's like this. And yeah, overall, I just think the quality is fantastic, and it really can give a massive boost to any sort of, you know, eyeshadow look you might be going for. Okay, next up we have the Urban Decay Electric palette. So this one here I believe has recently been discontinued. I was happy to pick this one up mainly just because of the neon colours. I don't really have anything that's neon in my collection, and you know, you never know when you might need a neon sort of shadow, I guess. But yeah, look, I usually pull this out for Halloween and any kind of, like, you know, special occasion, special kind of makeup look is usually when I go ahead and reach for this particular palette. Okay, next up we have the one that started it all. We have the Urban Decay Naked 1 palette. This one here has recently been discontinued as well. This was originally released back in 2010, and this really has been a staple for majority of people in their collection, and most people say that this is what really did start the whole eyeshadow craze off. Really great colour selection. Yet do I have other eyeshadows in my collection now that sort of surpass this? Yes, I do. Could I pass up picking it up one last time? No, I couldn't. You know, I think you can get some really fantastic classic looks out of this palette. And yeah, I was really sad to see it be discontinued. Finally, out of the Urban Decay collection, we have the Naked Heat palette. Now, I picked this up because I love warm tone eyeshadow palettes. I'm a complete sucker for them. I don't reach for this palette as much as what I should. I really don't know why that is. I do find that the quality to be totally fine. It's just not something I reach for as much as what I should. So I really should shop my stash a little bit more than what I do and sort of pull it a little bit more than what I do. But yeah, overall, very happy to have this part of my collection. Okay, and finally for this video, we are going to go through my Kat Von D collection. So starting at the very, very top here, what have I got? I've got her 10-year anniversary eyeshadow palette. So this came out only recently, and I think that just the detail of this palette alone is, in the packaging, amazing. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And then when you go ahead and open it up, it's everything that you could want it to be, in my opinion. You know, I think the color scheme in this is just phenomenal. I really, really do think that you get a little bit of everything in this particular palette. I unfortunately missed out on the La Vida Loca palette. So when I saw this being released, I really wanted to pick it up because I thought, you know what, that's the next best thing to it. So yeah, very happy to have been able to pick this up and have it a part of my collection. I haven't used it as much as what I probably should have, but again, you know, the few times that I have used it, I have found the quality of the shadows to be really good. Okay, next up we have the Shade and Light palette. So this one here is again one that I think that should be in majority of people's collections. I just find that, you know, you can create so many unique looks from this. I personally don't reach for it as much as what I should, just because I am somebody that loves glitter and I really do enjoy having some kind of shimmer on my eyes. But definitely it is great. Like, I do like to reach for this palette if I'm looking for more of a sort of I suppose, what would you say, muted look. But yeah, and you know, I do like to pair it with some of my shimmers as well that I have. So yeah, it's not a palette that I reach for all the time, but again, I can tell you that the quality is really, really good. Next up we have the Pastel Goth palette. So this one here was a limited edition. I picked it up because I do not have anything in my collection that's quite like this. I love the pastel shades. I think they're beautiful. I have used a few of them. They do blend really well. They're very, very similar to the rest of her quality shadows. And yeah, I just really, really do enjoy this particular palette, and I'm very happy that I have something in my collection that's like this should I ever want to create a look using these kinds of shades. Next up we have her Serpentina palette. Now this one here is a very interesting palette, to say the least. So you basically have all these shimmers and metallics, and you have two mattes, or that one there is more of a semi, what one is that, Blood? So Blood Milk is more of a semi matte, whereas this one here is, Venom is definitely a pure matte. So the shades in here are lovely, they blend really well, they work really well, but it's just very, very difficult to get a whole complete look out of this palette, and that's what I've found. And then obviously you've got Profit, which is this loose pigment over here as well. So again, not something that I reach for all the time, just because of the fact that I typically can't get a whole look out of it. But I have to say that the design of the palette is really quite unique, and that is one of the things that drew me to pick it up in the first place. I just really, really like the style of it, and yeah, I wanted to have it part of my collection. Next up we have the Metal Mattes palette. This palette is massive, like it's huge. And originally I wasn't going to pick this one up, so this was a limited edition. It came out, I believe it was Christmas time, 2017, I think it was. Now this one here, I ended up picking up for an absolute bargain on the Sephora website. I managed to pick this up for only $50. So I was really, really excited to pick it up. Again, the mattes in here, it's a palette I don't reach for all the time, so I try and keep it in best nick as I can. The mattes in here are lovely, they blend really well, and the shimmers are really lovely, and the metallics are really lovely as well. Cannot fault the formula. It's just not something that I reach for all the time, probably because it is just so big and bulky, but yeah, still very happy to have it part of my collection. Finally, out of the Kat Von D collection, we have the Saint and Sinner palette. So, oh, now this was the 2017 palette, sorry, so the Metal Mattes was 2016. So this one here came out Christmas last year, and as you can see, the shade selection in this is just phenomenal. The quality is fantastic. I honestly did just buy it to have it as part of my collection because aesthetically I think it's extremely pleasing, and I really did enjoy the attention to detail that went into this particular palette. Obviously she was inspired by cathedrals and the stained glass windows, and that's really what I feel is represented quite well in the shadow selection, in the shade selection. And again, the overall design of the palette, you know, it's very cathedral-esque. It's just really fantastic. So yeah, very, very happy to have picked that up and have that part of my collection. And that's it for this particular video, guys. I do have, as I said, another whole video coming up that I will put out very soon for you guys. But yeah, I just feel like if I put it all in one video, it's just going to be too much to go through. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your support. And yeah, just keep an eye out in the next day or two for part 2 of my eyeshadow collection.